And a very good morning to you. I'm sure you saw my beautiful face splash across the screen there, just in between the helmet and our little trip through the English countryside, just to show where we are and what we're doing. I'm going to adjust that slightly, if I may, because I'm feeling very relaxed this morning. It's Friday. However, whether I should be relaxed or not is something else. You will find that our picture today is not of the highest quality as we've been able to give you earlier in the week, but that is a temporary, I can assure you it is a temporary situation now, because we actually have cracked it. And our good friend Kevin Kramer is going to come up and help us install some better microphones. And also, we hope that we can have one or two extra cameras so that we can show you various things that are going on other than just that little crammed space that we have in front of this camera. But for the moment, this is it. And for the moment, let me explain to those people who are either new to Mirador or are from overseas where we are. We're broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel, which is a 16th century coaching inn in the centre of Lewes. Lewes being the county town of East Sussex, a part of the largest county on the south coast. And in fact, one of the the Duke of Sussex is our pal Harry and Meghan, is sitting in the United States at the moment, who come back from time to time. Not sure that they come down to East Sussex that frequently, but nonetheless, that's who is, quote, owns it. The signal is a bit dicey because of my incompetence on a Friday morning. Is I managed to put it into the wrong satchel. So when it got here, it needed charging all over again. And I can't charge it fast enough. I can't charge it fast enough, and I can't charge it fast enough. I'm afraid we are without that little boost this morning. Let's hope that the signal isn't too bad as it comes through the White Hart's system. All right, here we go, and it's time to look at the papers. And what a miserable situation we seem to be getting ourselves into. But just before we get into the misery loves company, let's take a brief respite down at the Southover Grange Park. And I'm not even reading from a script. This is just my teeth getting in between my tongue, or vice versa. Anyway, have a minute of relaxation. Really nice relaxation. Okay, here we are back, and let's start to take a look at some of the news headlines this morning. And the one of the things that we are finding is that there is a theme of a revolution revolution in the air to see if somebody else should actually occupy this residence at number 10. Number 10, Downing Street, the home of the UK Prime Minister. And the Times starts with Tories plot Sunak and Mordaunt leadership. Give me strength. First of all, it's this lot that have created the present crisis. Is they all are so desperate for power, they salivate over it, is that they are willing to do anything. And what's happening is that they are ruining the country. The country is in dreadful, dreadful shape because they will not get behind a leader. Whatever you may think of Liz Truss, she tried something new. And this country is crying out for reform. It does not serve purpose the way that we do things at the moment. Now, perhaps she got it totally wrong. Perhaps she got it totally wrong. But she at least deserved some sort of support from her fellows. And if Sunak and Mordaunt didn't give it, they are not fit to take over. Not fit at all. Who should? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Is perhaps somebody somewhere, tongue-in-cheek, has said perhaps what we should do is go to the country and have an election. Well, the Tories are hardly going to do that. Their stock is so low as they would lose it possibly in a landslide. And they've got a couple of years in which to make up ground if they can. But they're not going about it at all the right way. We're really looking for leadership, and we're looking for people who will actually be loyal. That's really what we want, loyalty. We really want to see loyalty. The Financial Times is a bit more positive. It says Ms. Truss is planning to U-turn on her Chancellor's mini-budget amid growing pressure from Tory MPs. The FT reports that an official involved in the talks are saying the mood in the bunker is grim. Asked about the change in plan, number 10 said the government's position hasn't changed. But I don't think, from everything that's coming out of number 10, that means that she's going to stick with her original plan, which has caused all the uproar. The I says that the Prime Minister plans a tax cut U-turn while Kwarteng is out of the country. Kwarteng is in Washington for an International Monetary Fund summit, which initially condemned the tax cutting budget of the British government, but then changed its mind and yesterday said it can see and growth of 3 points, far outstripping anybody else in the European sector. Not now. The backbenchers and these idiots who really can't show any loyalty have seen to that. And they don't see it. They simply do not see it. They live in this bubble in Westminster, and that's what's got to pop. It's the bubble. We expect to see our leaders out and about amongst people, not hunkering down, fighting amongst themselves and coming up with ludicrous propositions. It is a nonsense. The Daily Telegraph, Kwarteng insists, I'm not going anywhere. Calls for the Prime Minister and the Chancellor to be sacked are growing daily. But the Telegraph says he's faced a baptism of fire since taking on the senior role, but insists, I really enjoy the Treasury. He does look a bit of a beaten figure. But anyway, he's been sitting with the great and the good of the IMF in Washington and will return, I think, sometime today. The Guardian, Truss prepares a new mini-budget U-turn in the latest blow to her authority. And yes, her authority has been challenged, and it shouldn't have been. And it so certainly shouldn't have been these people playing politics when the country faces so many crises. And now it would appear that COVID is back on the increase. What are they going to do about that? What are they going to do about that? It is difficult to see how this group of politicians, and I include in that Labour as well, it is hard to see how they are equipped or even aware of some of the crises around us and how they are going to actually play the game. It really is Parliament in a muck. That should be a sacred house. But all it's seen recently is disloyalty, ganging up, yelling, screaming. Those people who fancy themselves in positions of power, playing politics, playing silly games. And what have we got? We've got a government which is ill fit to handle the crises that we're facing, the disasters that we're facing, the wars that we're facing. They're not fit for purpose. And it's not getting any better with all this poncing around. It really isn't. Give the woman a chance. And yet the headline in one of the papers is that she's only got 17 days to save her job. Hey, by gum, lad, it's a rare do, a rum do. There she is in her triumphant moment, and trying to explain her policies to the Conservative conference. It all happened at the wrong time, in the wrong way. Hey, like. The Daily Express. Tax U-turn on the cards in the battle to calm markets. Once again, this is the lead story, the headliner. Despite opposition, the Prime Minister wants to stick with the government's mini-budget. The Daily Express is supporting that situation. It is traditionally a newspaper that supports the government. But Ms. Truss will only do so, and that is save the mini-budget, if she can ensure the numbers in Mr. Kwarteng's upcoming statement add up. In other words, it's down to Kwasi. Is his argument and his budget viable? Who knows? Our lovely Daily Star is the most urgent political question of the year. Which wet lettuce will last longer? And in its usual tongue-in-cheek way, the Star has bought an iceberg lettuce, and it says it's putting it on a shelf in its office to see whether the lettuce will wilt before the Prime Minister. Well, it's one way of doing it, I suppose. I mean, it really is always a tongue-in-cheek paper, but so I suppose we'll see which lettuce wilts first. Now, the Metro goes away from politics, but in a much more serious thing is, and have come across evidence that the nurse at the center of the murder trial for getting rid of babies is, she says, "I am evil. I did this." And they have found, discovered that she has a home where we seem to have lost a little something there, but I think it's back. Uh, she did this, and that the Metro writes that this lawyer argued the paper showed nothing more than the anguished outpouring of a young woman who's in fear over what she has been accused of. She denies all charges. In other words, this admission, note of admission. What happened to my scarf? There we go. There's only a modest wind out there. Not too bad at all. Her admission of guilt, which has been found in the house, is just simply that she kept a private diary and that she wrote down things that bothered her. I can understand that to some extent, but by the same token, if you've got those sort of thoughts of "I want to kill a child" or "I want to kill somebody," you have to be very careful that you don't get misinterpreted, and even all protestations that, "Hey, I didn't mean any of this," tend to fall by the wayside, fall on deaf ears. So no defense whatsoever. All right, the Sun, a fury as a whistler cashes in. Oh, right, okay. Now, the Sun has gone away from the political crisis, and for that matter, any hard news at all, because in which year was it? 1986 World Cup. Uh, England faced Argentina, and the Maradona was playing for Argentina, and the ball was crossed into him, and he punched it into the net, and the referee gave the goal, and that saw the end of England. And it's always been a matter of controversy. Anyway, the referee apparently kept the ball for that game, and he's now going to put it up for auction. I expect, like the rest of us, feeling the pinch in terms of income, and it looks as if he's going to get £3 million for it. That's the reserve price put on it. Yes, it is. He's trying to sell the ball for £3 million. Yeah, well, that's capitalizing, isn't it? He hung on to the ball all those years, 20 years, 20 plus years. And Gary Lineker is in the front page of the Mirror. Is our message to Qatar, right? Is people can't leave Qatar alone. It is an authoritarian regime. It doesn't tolerate a lot of things, but it was chosen for the World Cup. So let that stand. It rankles in many people's craw, particularly after the fever scandal in which corruption was rife. But Gary Lineker now is saying he's vowed to use the World Cup to highlight host country Qatar's record of homophobia and human rights abuses. What the hell has he got to do with him? And if you're going to have the world showpiece, is why suddenly politics entering into it? I'm almost ready not to watch any of these games if it's all going to be political. I want to watch it as pure sport and not look at one team or another, or one place or another, or listen to commentators talking about it's into everything that we do. We actually legislated in this country to make sure that everything is okay. But what we believe here is not necessarily what Qatar believes. And I find it a bit nauseous that what we're using is a big, big occasion in the football world and not talk football, but get involved in trying to persuade, how we do it and where we do it. What the Daily Mirror says is Lineker has vowed to use the World Cup to highlight host country Qatar's record of homophobia and human rights abuses. The football pundit, who will present the BBC's coverage of the tournament, also said he knows of two gay Premier League players thinking of coming out. Good for them. Do we have to make a big fuss about it? No, we do not. We don't have to make a big fuss. Now, what we're going to do is give you the weather. And mind the weather as long as we're together. We're off to see the Wild West show. And the weather is going to reach 7 degrees again today. It doesn't feel cold out. The breeze is moderate, but we're not going to get sun. It's more cloud than we. That's how we take terms of the environment, what we're experiencing here, what probably many people throughout the UK are experiencing, and it's not a bad day, not a great day. Okay, let's just take a look. Now what we'll do is we will just take a little twinkle down to our park again, because that is our very successful little item feature in this. And we're not going back to the park again, or are we? Oh yes, we are. We'll go down to the park just to catch our breath before we look at anything in the local news that might catch our eye. Okay, there we are. That's just a lovely place. That's our Potter's Wheel. And once again, those who don't remember the Potter's Wheel, and why should you? Not many people are as old as me. When the BBC first started broadcasting television, it didn't have the discipline or the necessity for discipline that modern day television needs to have. For instance, for those of you who didn't know, is a segment of a program in television is 11 minutes and 40 seconds. The reason being is that, once again, those damn computers click things in, so everything has to be a very precise length. And the BBC didn't understand that, or it was too early in the 1950s when they first got started. But they realized that they got gaps between their programs because of timings. And particularly if you got a live operation, how did you go to a tape to record it system? and keep it all straight. So what they did was they devised a number of small films, and that is they were fillers. And the Potter's Wheel was the filming of the making of the clay going around on the wheel with the potter, and you can see the hands molding it into some sort of a jug. It's known as the Potter's Wheel, and we now call our little park video the Potter's Wheel, because basically what it does is it helps us join programs. So here you are, enjoy the Potter's Wheel, which has absolutely nothing to do with potters, but is just our lovely little park. Okay, the latest local news to come in is that a 34-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of indecent exposure near Crawley's Iceland supermarket, and that's come in the last minute or two. The next thing is yesterday that a runway at Gatwick was closed, and of course, then that cocks up the rest of the departures. But it was due to a plane with a deflated tire. So it landed on the runway, and as it got a British Airways plane, arrived, and it set down, and pop went a tire, and so the main runway was temporarily closed. And it was a flight from New York, and the incident meant that the runway was closed at 7:42 yesterday morning, while the issue was resolved. So my guess is that a little British Airways man went out with a pump and attached it to the tire, pumped his little heart out in getting things ready. Now, more seriously, a schoolboy, 14, has been jailed after a 13-year-old was stabbed in the town centre of, I've got the hiccups again, Worthing. And the incident saw armed police called, and the alarm has gone off, and so as the comments, and that is, where on earth are we going as a society when we have to jail a 14-year-old boy for stabbing a 13-year-old? I mean, my goodness me, what mentality is there from people who are that young and feel the necessity of carrying a knife. Right, okay. Here is perhaps the most. Oops! Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear! I have no idea where this comes from. It hits me at about the same time every morning, but quite often I've got a colleague to talk away to me. And this morning, as chance would have it, I'm on my own. But the COVID is on the rise again, and whereas the indications were, oh, hang on, it's only just a sort of a flu, Now there is a rethinking that this dreadful disease, this dreadful virus, is actually coming back with spades. That it's creating a new set of problems. That many older people have not had their jab, and certainly not had it for flu, and as a consequence, we could see people laid out all over the place at this coming autumn. Already, there are in our area indications that we are leading the country again in the number of COVID cases coming up. So be aware and be alert, and do what you're supposed to do to ward off any attack that you might have. Um, and there's a warning out uh, to don't approach a man who is wanted for recall. He's gone AWOL. He's skipped his bail, and the John Harris, 36, is wanted on recall to prison, and everybody is hunting for the answer to his being out of prison is that he was given early release and immediately skipped his bail conditions. And so, since he was a naughty boy and a bit violent, um, this is why he ended up in prison, is that he's wandering the streets. So do be careful. That is well worthwhile remembering. And it's well, it's something to be careful of. We always think that we'll never see these people, but then you suddenly find that he's standing next to you in a queue at McDonald's or something. Whoop. And the answer is do not discuss your hamburger with him. He is not a nice man. Not a nice man at all. Now, let us just remind you that it is 9:05 on Friday morning, the 14th of October in the year 2022. We've got a weekend coming up. Hopefully, everybody's going to enjoy it. It looks exciting and out. I do apologize. The only thing is, it'll be happening on your phones and computers as well. So you get the problem you're having, and particularly if you're making a call on social media in this app. It can be annoying. What about? We're not seeing a good picture. It's not a good scene, but it's reflective of the country. Well, let's that we're back, and there was a period there where we stayed live. You got that little funny do 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 do, and that we know hopefully I knew we were going to have some processing, but not those sort of problems, guys. Not a heck of a lot that we can do about it. But there we are. We know that we're back with you, and we'll try and keep you entertained if we can. The papers are full of doom and gloom, but mostly about the revolution that's a rebellion, I suppose, is happening in the House of Commons, and that Liz Truss is under fire because of her mini budget. Kwarteng, on the other hand, is busy saying, I don't understand what the fuss is all about. My budget is perfectly okay. Right. Well, interesting that we've got a bus, a coach actually. Is it? No, it's not. It's a vehicle that's going to carry some goods into the White Hotel, which is where we actually are broadcasting from. Now, I'm not absolutely sure whether, in fact, the link to Melissa Conte was broken by that little upset or not, but she's not due until 10 o'clock. We'll check closer to the time. Uh, right. Then we will walk through, and we'll get one up there for you, so you don't have to listen to me all the time. Um, but yeah, let's remind you who you're with. Hmm. The little thing is going around to as, it looks as if what we're going to have to do is to close down our system and to come back and on a different way. Oh dear, 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 dear. That's, that's very sad. That's very sad indeed. This is Mirador Television, broadcasting from the White Hart Hotel in Lewis. We are taking about uh, to re to improve for you, also acceptable. So Well, I hope that deal. Sorry for that gap. The home collapsed a while. And television is like, I got on the stream straight away. No, I didn't, of course. I had to go away and go through a series of manipulations. Let's make sure that our good friend Melissa uh, is got the proper invitation and the proper link to join us in a little while. It'd be interesting to see what's going on in New York because it looks as if Mr. Trump is in some considerable trouble. And wonder just how the general public, no crowds, that he's got still a huge number of supporters. Well, we're doing very well with it, are we? Um, I don't know. What we should do is see whether we can actually start a whole new program, and let's. Are we here? We have no idea of telling. It's, it's, oh dear. Let's find some video to play for you because it is 21 minutes past 9. Undoubtedly. Well, let's go to Lewis in the Clouds first of all. It's rather pleasant. Briefly, Lewis from overhead. And I hope that perhaps you enjoyed that little look. Um, come home, come home. Please come back to uh, and come back to me. Is there we are. All very slow. It's all very painful this morning. I don't blame you if you roar away to something else. I just look at me, a poor beaten character, bowed down by the pressure of a higher state. Yes. High office. Yes. It's bowed down by just trying to get a few. incidental things to our viewership in Lewis, but also around the world, because Facebook goes everywhere in every country. And we hope that we can capitalize on that pretty soon. For the moment, we have trying to see whether we can bring you some half decent stuff instead of me. From and signal is poor. It's normal. Either the weather or the weather seems average. That it's the provider that's causing all the problems. So let's let's hope that we have got one or two things to show you that. But you know, it might be time to be calmed by a little bit of music. Now, this duo out of New Haven have been very popular on this show over the last 2 or 3 years, and I actually know the family, and I've watched them getting their act together and getting to the state that they are in now for quite some time. The father of this remarkable duo is a real character, and he and I had a responsibility for fundraising tea at home, something like in the Hidden Lewis series that you see from time to time around town. And he had decided to host one of these get-togethers, and a lady offered a chocolate cake for to be raffled. It's a sign. We got to the day in question, and the cake and along with everything else was all laid out, ready to be raffled. And he got a phone call and said, "Oh my God, I've got the wrong week. It's next weekend. So please store this particular video," which we did. But in the meantime, we said, "That cake looks very good," and we scoffed it between the two of us. And then in a panic, he came to me and said, "Oh my God, well, we've eaten the prize cake at this next week's tea." To which I said, "Well, don't worry. I mean, what we can do is they've never seen the cake. We can substitute." "Ah, yeah, okay. Problem solved." Or was it? Because he bumped into a lady, the lady during the week, who said she was very anxious that we should let her be in on the auction of her cake, but it was in our stomachs. So we spent a week scouring the cake shops of Lewis and local environs because the it's it, we needed to find something that looked very similar. Well, we got away with it. Whether in fact it was similar or not, I have no idea. But anyway, that is the father of this two charming songsters. And let's listen at this hour of the morning.
can play that game, but it won't be funny for long. She's high, she's a sky. Doesn't matter. On wire, it doesn't matter. It's a long way down, long way down. Your food to assess the tension and convince yourself to continue knowing it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. But when she's high, she's a skywalker. Doesn't matter. Just focus your mind on the wire ahead. It doesn't matter. It's a long way down, long way down. What a spectacular performance! Though there will be no net for her, such a spectacular performance. Who's going to blame her for?
Ooh, ooh. Oh my goodness me! What a morning! What a morning! And it's Friday, and I thought I was going to have a nice, relaxing time, and instead I'm chasing tails this morning. Chasing tails! Wow, dear, dear, dear. Let's just shall we review what's in the headlines this morning, and that is that Liz Truss is under extreme fire. And the plotters, as it were, in the Conservative Party want to put in a combination of Penny Mordaunt and really Sushek, and it's all a lot of infighting. My point really is why infight and get this all wrong, as well as what you're going to do for the country, because you've taken your eye off the ball totally. There is no hope whatsoever. And it's all because of you, the backbenchers, thinking that you're not going to get a job next session. Good mind to speak to Norman and say, okay, Norman, how about me for making up the team in Westminster? Can you imagine? Can you imagine any of you who watch this or any of you who know me in charge? God's sake, I couldn't manage my way out of a brown paper bag. Only because I'm good at talking non-stop, if necessary. Am I sitting here relatively secure? I say relatively, because if once palace revolts start, they tend to switch from palace to palace, and this one isn't on the list yet. It is not on the list. I think checking back, we were. I really don't know. I mean, I think that the best thing is to put a nice little item that to keep you happy. And I think that what we need to do is we need to a bit like at school when you search for your satchel, which wasn't where it's supposed to be. It's difficult for us to say exactly where things are once it starts to get wrong. Dear. So. I'm glad you're with me this morning because I'm feeling very isolated and very alone. Something here, this is a teaser. Let's see if it works. Energy Matters with Stuart Dolby. Energy Matters, Mirador Television. From the White Hart Hotel in Lewis, Energy Matters. Wow. I hope you found that a bit interesting. We don't have the resources to send a crew around the world looking at various nice places. And so, because we are a quirky station with a quirky nature and do things in a quirky way, we decided that our travelogues would be based on um, miniature railways, model railways, uh, built and displayed in various countries, plus some shots of their real railways and also their scenery. And so we have half a dozen of these, and we will play them from time to time, and I hope that you enjoy them. Now, I have got an eye on our output on another monitor. It is not good this morning. I do apologise for that. Not much we can do about it at this stage, except to assure you that it is now, as opposed to being a regular phenomenon, a different phenomenon, and that we have trapped it, caught it. We've now got it wrapped up, ready to launch on you. But today we couldn't do that, and that's why we're having all this very funny stuff. Okay, let's let's go down to our lovely park. He said, "Shall we?" Um, what am I looking for? I know what I'm looking for. Our little break, our potter's wheel, as we call it, and here it is. Enjoy. Well, welcome back. We hopefully are going to the States in a little while, in a few minutes' time, as long as the system this morning will wear it, and that we get a chance to talk to Melissa Conti, because it looks as if there is a big uproar starting in the States, as if we didn't have enough here. The politicians really do like having a go at one another in the very meanest, miserable way. And what's happening in the States is there is now an attempt to get President Trump, former President Trump, into court to discuss and to appear to give evidence on the night that his supporters tried to break into the White House. And the pundits there say that if he does that and he is challenged in any way by any of his enemies, is then in court he will go. So I'm hoping that I don't want to see President of the United States in court, but it could happen. And if it does happen, we hopefully will be able to bring you a little analysis straight away. And very good analysts too. It's just that the system is working against us at the moment. So let's hope that it's all right. Interesting people going past the window this morning, but it is a dull day out there, not at all pleasant. And so that's where we're at. We can actually, while we're waiting for Melissa, and I hope it's not waiting in vain, take a look at one of the things that we have. I think. Well, let's just visit Lewis, shall we? Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It really is all up the creek this morning. There we are. We seem to have a decent signal again, so perhaps you can hear me, perhaps you can see me. And we, as I say, hopefully are going to find out what's happening in the States. I hope that our system is strong enough to bring in Melissa from New York. It is nothing to do with Mirador, by the way. This morning, it's not our fault, as he says. It is it's really the issue with internet, which has been faltering around the world. I'm beginning to wonder whether, in fact, those people who created it have not created a monster, in as much as it is so popular that it is overloading all the time, and thus stopping from half decent pictures, half decent feeds. Anyway, we hope that we'll have Melissa in a few minutes, and we can chat about the traumas that the Americans are having, because they're having their traumas too. Don't think it's just us. It's not. We are not the only country in trouble. But one of the things we might do is a very popular little a bit that we've been running is the story, brief story of the race course. And we've been asked if we can replay that. And it may be that this is the time while we're waiting for Melissa to take a look at the race course and see it through our eyes of 2 or 3 years ago.
Plum. The other day I felt a warmth between myself and Mole and Ratty, the two little characters from Wind in the Willows, as I sat on the banks of the River Ouse and let it drift by. Vroom, vroom. Today I feel more like Toad at Toad Hall, the animal that was always getting himself into trouble because of his excesses. Vroom. But horsepower is the essence of this episode, because horses played a central part in the history of Lewis. And as might be expected, were often at the centre of violence, adding to the history of a bloody town. Horses, of course, were nothing unique to Britain. Cavalry had been a major part of warfare, and peaceful farming from time to time immemorial. But for Lewis in early times, they were an important part of its economy. The Domesday Book, the first ever audit of England in 1086, records that anyone selling a horse in Lewis should pay to the reeve or estate manager a penny. The buyer also paid a penny. So a horse tax was in place more than 1,000 years ago. And so the horse took centre stage from the earliest of Norman times. I've shown you the tilting grounds where knights on horseback tried to unseat each other. But that was nothing compared to the violence that Lewis races brought to the town. But I get ahead of myself. Lewis was one of the most famous racecourses in history until 1965. The fourth oldest in the country, racing began in 1727, although some argue there is evidence it was 26 years before that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lewis. It's the final race meeting here at Lewis, Monday, September the 14th, 1964. The ground is firm and the wind is straight across the course. The runners for the first race, the Cookmere Apprentices Handicap, are on their way to the start. Saucy Lad representing Tom Masson in the purple with the gold star. Number 11 is Nimberg. And away they go. They're off and racing, and Buzz a bright start there and leads in the early stage. And now a little bit of a rise as they race past the mile marker and head towards the right-hand turn, which will bring them into the home straight. Closing stages with less than 100 yards left to travel. It's Buzz pulling clear, and Buzz goes on to win by about 3 lengths to Misty River in second, Saucy Lad back in third, Great Lady, Nimberg Wave, Methane, the Wolf, and St. Kieran.
In that year, after almost 300 years of horse racing, it closed down for good, mainly because it had no electricity, no running water, in fact, no facilities at all. Yet in the late 18th century, it attracted royalty, the big gamblers of the day, and it produced some champion racehorses over the years that brought great races and great feats to an otherwise pretty but blustery track atop the Downs. Considered by racing folk as the greatest racehorse of all time, Eclipse raced there in 1769. The Derby winner
leaves the racing because we're going to go to the racing that we get in the United States. And here is the very gorgeous and beautiful Melissa Conti to talk to us from New York. And a very good morning to you, Melissa.
Good morning, Keith. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
Happy Friday. Having my coffee, so I'm happy.
Yes. And it's the one day when you really should be able to relax, and I get you up in the small hours of the morning to come and talk to us.
Well, I've been talking to someone else from the UK this morning as well.
Oh. Now, who would one talk to in the middle of the night to somebody in the UK?
I don't know.
Love transcends all. Oh, that's lovely. One day we're going to tell you all about Melissa's romance at the moment. Because actually, believe it or not, it was this television station that started it, that kicked it off. And I think it's a marvelous story which needs to be told. But we need to tell it in its entirety, not a bit at a time. Very, very good to see you. And you're looking. I should have known that you've been talking to a certain gentleman because you're looking gorgeous and very happy and full.
Well, thank you, Keith.
Let's just turn to a more serious matter because on our news this morning on the BBC, there was some suggestion that President Trump may be in trouble and that he may actually have to go before a court over the um, invasion of the White House by his supporters. It wasn't the White House. What was it that was invaded?
It was Congress.
Congress.
Our
That's
Congress.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Can you fill us in on the very latest, because these are the very latest, isn't it? It's just happening today.
Right. They're issuing a subpoena for him to come in and
Right.
testify. The idea is that it was a premeditated act. That's the whole point of the subpoena, is to question him on that, in that vein, as to whether this was premeditated. I mean, you try to get inside his mind, which you really wouldn't want to stay there if you got into it. He just wants people to clap for him. He wants to see people support him. That's the basic. That's it. Not fighting for any real ideals. Just to be heard. You say anything just so people will like me. Because a lot of the stances that he took in the presidency were definitely not who he was prior to that. So he just got swept up in it, and I'm not giving him any excuses, because that was really outrageous. I'm sorry that he just couldn't admit that he lost, and it was obvious why he lost. It was obvious. It was the big cities that he shunned, and that that were really touched by COVID. And his response to COVID was confused and oh, it's a Democratic hoax. Oh, it's serious. Oh, it's not. Oh, maybe we should drink bleach. I mean, it was nuts. His COVID response was inconsistent. It was confused. He made it political, and people didn't like it because they really suffered through COVID. And it was the major cities in some of these states that turned the tide. I'm sorry. Too bad. Leave. You lost. It's okay. We all lose sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but he could never, ever, in the history of his life, could never accept loss of any kind. And this is what happened. He got a bunch of people to believe him, because what he said was, if I say I won enough, if I keep saying it and keep saying that, they'll believe it.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
I can a red herring for the moment, because you mentioned COVID, and this morning also is the we're beginning to get worried again in this country that there is a resurgence, that the figures have jumped in the last few days, not least of which is in East Sussex, and that we are in for another bad bout of COVID. And at the same time, it is believed that we're going to get a hammering from flu. Now, what's your situation over there? Are you experiencing any resurgence of COVID?
I mean, I'm sure there is. I think, when the Alpha strain came out, when the original COVID came out, it was very bad. We had it very, very early before we knew it was COVID. I did, my son did. We had it in January of 2020 when my son came back from Germany. And we didn't know what it was. We thought it was the flu. It was very, very bad. So I don't want to belittle COVID, because it killed many people. And it was an absolute disaster in New York, because New York is the gateway of the world. However, as scientists have said from the very beginning, these kinds of viruses have a tendency to mutate. And they did. They mutated into Delta and then they mutated into Omicron. What we have now, I don't know. But the question is, are people dying? Do you find that people are dying over there? Or
Yes,
are they
indeed.
they're dying in the same numbers as Alpha? No, they're not. No, they're not. They may get it. We may get a version of it that has mutated. But are people dying? A lot of people dying? No. What I'm getting at is that we may get it. I may have had it, but the symptoms are milder, just like Omicron, right? And so what happens is I think state officials get us all riled up and hysterical. Oh my God, we have the flu. Well, get your flu shot. I got my flu shot. You know, if you are compromised in any way because your health or your lifestyle isn't so great, and I'm not going to judge anybody because I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I had pizza last night. You know. Yeah, I know. And Connor made the best beer. Connor made
if pizza and love make you look the way you are this morning, is God bless it, what a recipe.
I think what I've been doing is just eating small amounts of it. So I can still enjoy it, but just small amounts. But anyway, yeah, so I think that we all need to take better care of ourselves, certainly, because we don't want anything. We don't want a cold. We don't want bronchitis. Humans get sick. We get sick. Yeah. And so the question is COVID killing people now? They're not killing, it's not killing people here unless they have some other illness where COVID would send them over the top.
They are particularly concerned about the vulnerable group. You know, me, now that I'm over 35, I'm in the vulnerable group. And specifically, but whether in fact let's put it this way, that they are alerting the hospitals to having people in. Now, whether that's because it's life-threatening or whether it's you know, the very, very poorly need hospital attention, I am not sure. But
it could be the latter. It could be the latter. It very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, the initial assessment was exactly as you've stated it, is that this is really not as bad. Basically, COVID is covering all sorts of mild areas. However, I do think that it's wise to be on the alert, because this particular virus had a very uncanny way of getting around everything we threw at it when it came before. Whether in fact it's clever enough to get around everything we can now throw at it, I have no idea. But I suppose we should be careful.
Well, I mean, if you want to go out with a mask, you want to keep yourself clean, you want to make sure you're very hydrated, you want to eat good foods, your fruits and vegetables. You know, you don't want to, if you do indulge in a dessert, have a little bit. You know, don't be a pig about it. No. I've been there. Give me a pint of ice cream and it's gone. So I don't give myself a pint of ice cream. I can't buy it. If I buy it, it's gone. Okay.
Yes.
So I understand. I understand, but I think it's about the need to say to yourself, I love myself. I'm going to take care of myself. That's really the bottom line. No one else is going to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. You make sure you're healthy. We know what to do. Look on Google. So I'm not saying it's always easy. It's not, but that would be my wise uneducated advice.
Just on ice cream, right across from our studio in the White Hart Hotel is a pub called the Rights of Man, obviously named after Tom Paine and his writings. But it is a nice pub, and it has got a very, very traditional pub dining room, and it's also got a little terrace on top. And so we at Mirador have made that the works canteen. And we pop over there from time to time to either get a snack or even if we want a business lunch. I got so used to us now is I cannot resist having ice cream for dessert. And now when I sit down, they look at me and they say, ice cream? And I say, yes. And they say, and you're going to say, my choice. Because I always say to the waiter, I want 3 scoops of ice cream and your choice. And they've got
You're starting to sound,
I think
you're
if I
sounding like,
actually told them what I wanted now, they would shock them.
what I think I've been doing now, because I do love ice cream, and we went to a wonderful ice cream place over the weekend when we were apple picking up in the country in New York. And I know I would have felt better had I just had 1 scoop. Because, after like the 3rd or 4th bite, the excitement kind of wears off. Let's be honest. So but it's so hard to restrain yourself at the time. I know,
Yeah,
so
I find I'm triggered. I watched little bits of Whoopi Goldberg the other night in Sister Act, and when she's playing a nun, and the nuns all get together in the kitchen, and their idea of sin is to get ice cream out of the fridge and then eat it out of the tub. And the moment I saw it, I had to have ice cream. So I went to my fridge, and luckily I got a tub. So I ate it along with the sisters.
well, it's funny because I made a decision that I was not going to have any of that in the house because I would eat it all. And because that's what I used to do as a kid. My father would buy so many desserts. I mean, and he was so worried I was going to get diabetes, but he's buying all these desserts, whatever, because he was so obsessed with them. And so now I am like that. And I know I can't have it in my house. It will be gone. So I wait till I go outside to go out with friends. And that's where I have my treats. I don't deprive myself of treats, but I don't have it in the house because it'll be gone.
Well, I have to say that one time I would probably have had a nightcap, but is the older you get and when you live alone, is drinking also takes a back seat. I've had a
Yes.
small bottle of vodka in my fridge for a month now, and nothing
Yeah.
has disappeared out of it.
Right.
I mean, it's very disappointing in many ways.
Yeah,
But
I think what happens,
there are
and I
things that you
said,
just do away with.
I think what happens, I know that for me, alcohol doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't make me feel good. After a while, and I certainly don't wake up feeling well. So I'm always thinking to myself, "Oh, I'm not going to feel great. I might just want to have a little." Now, Connor, my son, made an excellent Czech Pilsner. Excellent. And I had a little bit last night with the pizza, but a little bit, So I'm okay this morning. He's also making cider, by the way.
Oh gosh, he's really into it now, isn't he?
Because he's having so many successes. I tried the bitter. I would like to have more flavor, and he's going to work on that. I think he's going to have a version where he's adding some more different kinds of hops. So, but he's
Ah,
working on it.
yes.
But it's
And,
all
and should
it's all very pleasant. In the beginning there was some disasters, but he's really got it down. He knows exactly what to do now to make very
yeah,
good beer.
yeah.
Really
I mean,
good.
you might have been hit by an exploding bottle at one stage. I understand.
Right. But not anymore. He really does know what he's doing. So I
And
think sometimes when you're learning something, you have to make mistakes.
yeah,
And you'll say,
perhaps
okay, I can't do that again. So
we should tell people that really this all started here in Lewis because he went on a tour of Harvey's and Miles Jenner, in fact, the chief executive, but also the chief brewer at Harvey's, gave a personal tour. And he was able to talk to him very sensibly about how to make a bitter. And he's done it.
yes.
And now
Yes,
he's
he
into
has.
cider, and I can actually see a subsidiary of Harvey's being set up in your apartment in New York. Now, you briefly touched on, because we like to follow the adventures of Connor, you briefly touched on last week that he is now a correspondent for NHK, the English language Japanese channel, and that he is producing or reporting for them.
He's associate producer, and he actually starts the new job on Monday. He's quite excited. So I think that's going to work out very well. He's fluent in Japanese. He completely understands Japanese culture, and of course American culture. So I think he's going to do quite well. You okay, Keith?
Yeah.
I think we're a bit frozen.
Unfortunately, technical problems this morning. We just had the one actually explaining what was that about. Would you mind repeating that?
Sure, no problem. He is an associate producer with NHK, and
we seem to have lost the link.
Can
you hear me now, Melissa?
I can hear you, but you're frozen on the pic. Oh, there you are. I think we're good. We're back.
Yes, we've had some problems this morning. It's one of those mornings where the internet isn't behaving itself. But could you repeat just Connor's experience at Harvey's and how he's developing his own beer?
Oh, well, yeah, he loved the tour. He was so appreciative, and he really spoke at a completely different level than, your average person going on a beer tour who just wants to try the beer, Hey,
Yes.
look at that, I'll try that. So he was really able to get from Miles a sense of how it's made and what the basic recipe is. Now, whether he really can't get every single thing, I think he can't get the specific kind of hops that Harvey's uses. So he's had to get an approximation here. And I think we'll come up with something nice. So.
Yes. Oh, it sounds like it. It sounds like it indeed. If Mama is drinking Sun's bitter, now that is an expression of faith. Yes. I've just remembered where we got cut off because he is in fact about to start on a career, or has started on a career, while he's waiting to go into the Air Force as a correspondent for NHK, the Japanese English language station. And how's he making out with that?
Actually, he starts Monday as associate producer. He's quite excited. I think he's perfect for the job because he's fluent in Japanese and completely understands Japanese culture, and of course American culture. So I think he's going to be quite an asset to NHK.
Right, and that's his role, is to produce material on American culture for NHK in Japan.
Right, and to help the correspondents he's assigned to help, maneuver around the U.S. and speak to officials, and so I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think it will be a very exciting experience for him, because ultimately, just to remind people, what's he going to do faster than sound?
Yeah, he'll find out about the Navy and becoming a naval aviator, a pilot, and so we'll see in the coming year what happens with that. So, yeah, hopefully he's not fighting in World War III. Although
it is definite that he's going to go and fly these planes.
Yeah, he wants to fly the F-18. There's a certain type, but yes, break the sound barrier.
Right, now what have you been up to? Because your reflection of life in the United States is quite important here. We did a little episode of Sarah Fitch Hayes's art on Friday last. Friday, yes, which will go out this week. And we talk about you a great deal because she is very keen on painting American icons, such as the Coke bottle and the bubblegum machines and that sort of thing. So we talk a lot about life in America. And of course, that means that because she's met you on the air, that we talk about you. So you came up in conversation, and she is fascinated, as indeed I think everybody is fascinated, with your background and your lifestyle. So perhaps you can fill us in on what you did this past week.
Well, I'm so glad everyone's fascinated with my life. I'm thinking like, really?
There they are.
Well, I mean, I always try to enjoy my life every day. And because life is really amazing and fascinating. But I work, at a job. I love my colleagues. I make good money. It's a good job. It's a good company. And, I'll go into the city maybe 2, 3 times a week. And because I work on Park Avenue and near Grand Central Station. So it's a very convenient commute. Very convenient.
Well,
I actually live.
technology has let us down again because we are having some difficulty. You're breaking up at the moment.
Oh,
I'm probably going to have to get you to. But I'm not sure whether we've lost you. Yes, I'm afraid that we've lost you, Melissa, because it shut down temporarily. Whether I can get you back again or not, I'm not absolutely 100% sure. I don't think that I can. There we go. Yes. Oh, well done, well done. You punched the right button, and you're back with us. So right, okay, let's hear from you.
uh-oh, we're stuck again.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, try again.
Uh-oh, I think we're stuck. You're frozen.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh, there you are.
I'm afraid that the technicals are letting us down this morning.
Hello.
Yes, it's all my fault. Well, it is unfortunate, but it's letting us both down at the moment, Melissa. Right. Now you are back with us. Try again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you.
No.
Hello? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
We're just not having any luck today. Than just watching everything going wrong. Will it pop again? No. Okie dokie. I think that what we're going to do is perhaps just simply be defeated this morning, call it a day. It is 10:34. Some before we normally go off the air, but I think that rather than bother you with all sorts of technical things which get very irritating, is we'll say cheerio and toodle pip. But we'll go out with one of the longer things to. So we let's I really don't know. All right.